Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday, and welcome back to Inner Circle Podcast, where real estate meets real life. Hosted by yours truly, Jillian Owens, aka your homegirl Jillian. We are coming live to you from IntellectualRadio.com, YouTube, and across my social media platforms. And then don't worry if you missed the live show today, the episode and all others will be available to stream after the show airs live on intellectualradio.com's website, their YouTube channel, iHeartRadio, and my social media platforms for you to listen anytime, anywhere. So, the Inner Circle podcast is your ultimate destination for real talk about real estate. Whether you're a first time home buyer or an aspiring investor or someone seasoned in buying, selling, or flipping homes. Each week, we dive into the real life changes and opportunities in the real estate world and explore how they impact you. Why is this podcast so important? So, because real estate isn't just about buying or selling, it's connected to so many parts of our lives, from building generational wealth and finding financial stability to creating a space where life happens. So along the way, we all have experiences and lessons that can help each other grow and succeed, and that's why we're here to share them. So today, we're bringing you another empowering episode filled with tips, tools, and inspiration to help you on your journey. So we also want you to be a part of the conversation as well. So call us live at 708-223-8953 with any questions that you have, thoughts or experiences. So don't be shy. Your question might just help someone else out there too. So today's episode is all about a topic that's the foundation for success in real estate and beyond: credit, right? So whether you're trying to buy your first home, invest in real estate, or build financial future, credit is the key that opens doors literally. So good credit doesn't just make life easier, it creates opportunities, saves you money, and lays the groundwork for generational wealth. I'm thrilled to welcome my guest today, Joe Gathings, a Chicago native, credit expert and business entrepreneur who has built a credit empire while helping countless people take control of their financial future. Joe is here to share his insights on why credit matters and how to fix it and how you can use it as a tool for financial freedom and real estate success. So I want to take the opportunity to thank Joe for joining us today.
No problem. No problem at all. It's an honor.
Yep. And so we're going to start off by, I just want you to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, your background, and then we'll get into how you started this credit journey.
For sure. So first off, I always want to give God the glory for allowing us to be in this space right now. Like she said, my name is Joe Gathings. And, prior to this opportunity, right, I was a truck driver.
Okay.
I grew up on the west side of Chicago. Don't get it twisted. My mom and dad, great parents, they gave me the foundation, right? They gave me God first, right? You treat people how you want to be treated. You get out of life what you put in it. Hard work pays off at the end. So I realized that I had a foundation and it was easy for me to build off of that. But I also grew up in a neighborhood where credit wasn't a subject. So you told all your life you could be all you could be, you can do this, you can do all that, but then realize that some of the tools you need was never given. There wasn't enough people came back to the neighborhood saying, hey, here's the way, here's the steps. These are the blueprints. So truthfully, you had a lot of people that when they got older, they gave up on life. Right. And then, of course, for me, I lost a lot of friends just in different areas of life because they kind of went off path because they didn't have the solutions to get them the life that they wanted. So I thank God for the opportunity, man. My spiritual mentor reached out to me one day. He said, man, I got something you might want to take a look at. And it changed everything for me. Right. From that moment, I realized, man, this is a blessing because I need it. And then as I was going over the videos and kind of watching all the videos about credit and how everything worked and all of that stuff, I was like, hold on, wait a minute. I know everybody needs this, right? So it turned into this joy of just wanting to see other people win. Once I realized it changed my life, right? At one point, I had a 545 credit score. I was able to take it from a 545 to an 840. I realized how rare I was. I went from literally being a truck driver, not being able to get anything, to all of a sudden being able to go places. And they were literally offering me cars to drive home for the day. I'm like, hold on now, I got a good credit score. But at that time, I lived in the same neighborhood, right? So this might not be cool. But over time, you get into it. Now you just fall in love with helping other people. So it turns into this movement. So the reason why I am excited, why I was excited, and I'll always be excited, is because we found some things that we know that's really, truly helping people change their lives and helping people really get goals the right way without any guessing. Because one of the greatest challenges in life, period, is simply not knowing what to do. So that's how it got going, and we've been building since then. And God's been good since 2017. We've been rocking and rolling.
Nice, nice. Well, I want to take it back a little bit to something you said.
Mhm.
So you shared and you were transparent that you had a 545.
For sure.
So I want to kind of tell our listeners, how did you get there, right? Because
Mhm.
there's a lot of people in that situation that are in the 500s and they don't necessarily want to share how they got there. Are they paying things late? Are they over leveraging their credit balances? So tell me, if you're open, if
Oh,
you
for
want to be
sure.
open and
For sure.
share, how did you get to a
Yeah,
545?
without question. It was simply growing up without information. So
Okay.
without me having information, if I could be totally transparent with everybody, I just didn't care. Credit wasn't a subject. Like, it wasn't even emotional because nobody ever talked about it. I didn't realize that till I got older that how important it was for jobs, for homes, to just simply have the buying power to get the best interest rate. I didn't realize none of that until I got old enough to where now those things became important. So of course, on my credit score at that time, I had some medical bills. I had a few student loans. I had a cable bill, just being ignorant in college. Left and went home and left some of my teammates, with some of the responsibilities, and they ain't really work out, right? So that's how I got there. It was just the ignorance and not really knowing or even caring at that time because it wasn't even a subject. It's hard for you to care about something that nobody ever talks about
Mm.
until you really need it. And then all of a sudden you love it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you said you had a friend that introduced you to a program. So
Spiritual
talk a
mentor.
little
Yeah.
bit more about that.
Yeah,
What
my
was that?
spiritual mentor, Marlon, he reached out to me and he said, "Man, Joe, I got something I want you to take a look at." And essentially what it was introducing me to the financial literacy world. So even though credit is something that we offer and we're really good at it, in fact, we got over 1 million negative items deleted already. But by it being something that I needed, I fell in love with all the little bitty things that the program came with, the education, not just getting things deleted, but just the education that came behind it to understand that I'm not just getting stuff removed. I'm
Mhm.
understanding the process. I'm understanding how it works, and allow me to be able to come back and help other people because the program came with videos, it came with mentorship and things
Mhm.
like that. So, yeah, I love it. I love it
So let's break down a little bit about credit
for
for
sure.
people, right? So what exactly, I guess, in your definition is credit? And we've kind of talked about why it's so important today, but
Mhm.
really, realistically, what is credit?
Credit to me is you. Right? It's crazy. It may sound. It's like when somebody pulls your name, or sometimes it's applying for jobs. Sometimes it's getting promoted for jobs. It's when somebody look at you, even though we may not look at it from that perspective, but somebody looking at you and they never met you before or have no idea of who you are and never spent time with you. That's all they got. So they're gonna look at their credit score, and from that score, they're gonna determine whether you're a great person to them or you're a bad person to them. Even though it's they're not considering that neighborhoods and lack of information, they got a business to run, right? They got stuff they got to do. So at the end of the day, I understand as a business owner why I wouldn't want to lend you 100,000. I never met you, and this is all I got is the fact that based on your history, you never pay bills on time, you got
Mhm.
collections on your credit report. So this all I have. So when I think about credit, it's really who you are to somebody that you might actually need at the time. So sometimes credit just literally be in a position to just say, "Hey, I'm good enough to get anything." It's just, do I want it?
Right.
Getting the best interest rates and stuff, all that stuff really matters. I've seen a lot of people, literally in my career, just like literally be on like waiting lists for jobs, not being able to get promoted, be depromoted, right? Not being able to go to the next level simply because that company has the right to do what's called a soft pull. They can look at your credit report without even getting your permission necessarily to see if you qualify for what's next or if they're cutting back. Of course, they're gonna get rid of people that they feel I can't trust. So then, of course, now people getting laid off and getting fired and not even really knowing that it had nothing to do with you as a character, your work ethic. Sometimes it's just they might have had to consider those credentials.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to break down a little bit because you touched on those, like
Mm-hmm.
payment history and things like that. So I want to get into the finute, like, or
Mm-hmm.
the details of it. So like explain terms like payment history, credit utilization, account age. Those are things that I think a lot of people, and especially people that look like us,
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
Yeah.
And especially young people, they
Mm-hmm.
don't know what those things mean.
Yeah.
So can you break down a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the payment history is very, very important because, in so many words, it's showing that your ability to pay something over a period of time. So, especially when you're looking for a house. you're looking for a car, anything, right? At the end of the day, somebody is taking their money in a sense and lending it to you. And if I look at your credit report and I find that over time your payment history wasn't as good, then now in my mind as a lender, I'm thinking, man, if you couldn't pay them, you might have a problem paying me. So I always recommend, of course, we'll get in a little bit as far as, paying your bills and stuff on time. And then the history of that payment is important as well, because at the end of the day, it's not just about having something that you've done 3, 4 times. That's why I always recommend like credit cards. People may not like them, but I tell them all the time, when you get a car, you done paying for it, that car is cut off, you use it, you lose that history. Credit cards is stuff that you could keep around forever. You got people that's passing down their kids' credit card history for over 30, 40, 50 years. So instead of you cutting up their credit card and getting rid of it and things like that, just do the right thing with it over a period of time, and then you can start adding your kids and stuff on it, but their history lasts forever. Okay, so I just want to make sure we touch that. And then the other one you talked about was,
So, credit
yeah,
utilization, account age, those are things
for
that
sure.
I know play a big part when people are looking at credit, and that those things go into affect the actual score.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the utilization is very important. And to be honest with you, I hear a lot of people say, keep everything under 30%. Okay, now let me be transparent with you, right? 30% is like playing it safe, but that's usually for people who already have good credit and don't want to harm their score, right? They okay with losing a couple points. They just don't. They at a space where, for example, I got maybe like a 730 credit score. Okay, for me, right? I'm just using that as an example. Somebody got to say, I may be okay with 30% because it's not going to really hurt my credit, right? So when you're trying to build your credit, I always tell everybody under 9%, because you're trying to tweak and maximize every point you possibly can, because you're in the building stage. And this is why a lot of times you can have some things maybe get deleted off the credit report and stuff like that. And somebody try to figure out why their credit didn't necessarily jump as high as it could. Is because on the utilization side, you were playing it safe. So my advice to everybody, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this or listening to this, when it comes down to credit card utilization, if you're trying to build your credit, keep it under 9%, because that allows you to maximize it. Now, for those that got great credit and you don't want to hurt your credit, then the 30% applies to you because it's not really a big deal, right? So I want to make sure we understood that for sure. Utilization is very important because it lets the lender know whether it's true or not. If you go over 30% or your credit cards and stuff maxed out, it lets them know, to them, they feel like you're desperate. And it may not even be the case. But to them, if I'm trying to lend you money, everything maxed out, that means that you having financial difficulty. So of course, once again, as the lender, I think it's important that we have to see it from both perspectives. So as the lender, I'm thinking that, man, if you ain't paid them back yet and you want more money, that's a problem. So we just sometimes, when we build our credit or we go and look from homes and cars and things like that, we have to consider both sides and act like you was somebody that was lending somebody the money. And that's how you want to set your credit profile up.
that's such good information that a lot of us don't know, because I've heard the 30% rule. I've told clients that,
For
right?
sure.
Or people that call me and they want to get started on the home buying journey, and they're talking to me about credit, because I just outright ask, because I think that's a good starting point. Even before I send you to one of my lenders, I kind of want to know what position you're in. So as I'm talking about credit cards and things like that, those are tips that I'm bringing up. But you just shared something new with me, and I'm sure to listeners, I had not heard that 9%
For sure. Yeah, I
rule
grew up my
before.
whole life, 30%, 30%. I mean,
Yeah,
not living my
yeah,
whole life, but I'm talking about like prior to
right.
this, doing my research, 30%, 30%. Then you get more into it, right? You become like this credit nerd. You start to realize that, man, 30% is playing it safe. You're trying to maximize, go ahead and get it under 9%. You want to go a little deeper, get it under 5%. You want to go a little deeper, get it under 3%. You just want to, sometimes when you're playing the point scale game, you want to leave a little bit of money on that, because you want to be able to show the credit card company that I'm still using the card, which is another tip I want to give to the audience, if you don't mind, for somebody that might appreciate this. When you got your credit cards, it's very important you guys use it every once in a while, because here's what'll happen. If you don't use your credit card for a long period of time, there are credit card companies out here that will shut your credit card down because you're not using it. So what that's going to do, that's going to hurt what we just talked about, right? Your payment history. Because once that credit card is closed, then they're going to take the history away, and then now you lose points because that credit card was closed. Another reason why you guys might want to use a credit card as much, well, I wouldn't say as much as possible, but just use it over a period of time, is because that can eventually drop your overall credit balance. That could drop your overall credit limit. I'm sorry, that they gave you. So for example, if a credit card company gave you 30 grand, if you don't use it for a period of time, don't be surprised in 6 months, 8 months, their credit card is now down to 10,000 because they feel like you don't really need it. So it's not even about using the money. It's just about using the credit card enough to where you get activity so they don't take away some of the stuff you built. Because I hate to see people go out, build their credit up, get these high utilizations. I mean, get all these high credit limits, and then find out 6 months, 8 months of not using it, that $30,000 credit card is now 10,000. Now it hurts everything. You know what I mean? And I hate to see clients that also lose the credit history by canceling the credit cards or the credit card company canceling them for not using the credit card.
Got it. So, besides, I know credit cards is also a big part of credit, right? Credit cards, whether you get a car loan, if you've had a previous mortgage loan, paying things on time. What other things can impact your credit? I mean, besides just credit card, I feel like that's the one thing that people talk about.
Yeah.
Well, what are some of the other things that I can do to improve my credit, or just that I should maybe I want to steer away from credit cards? What are some other things that I can look at?
To improve? All right. So if you're trying to improve your credit, so of course, one thing that I always tell everybody is, first off, if you feel in your heart, you know in your heart that my credit isn't good enough, stop applying for stuff. Because what happens is, over time, people don't realize those inquiries start to add up. It could be 5, it could be 8, it could be 11 points per inquiry. So what we do is we teach everybody that, until you get to a 720 and you feel like, man, this is a credit score where I can take a chance on stuff, then don't just be out there running your credit for stuff, because you may end up getting denied. Now all of a sudden you got denied 8 times, 7 times, 6 times. Well, you take that and you multiply it by 5 and by 8. Now you're losing points while you're in the process of still trying to gain points. So that comes with utilization. I mean, with inquiries. Another one that I recommend is while you're trying to build your credit, here's a tip that I tell everybody. And you got to be cautious with this. Okay, here's a play you can run. Is find your family member, a friend, or somebody that has a credit card already. But here's the kicker. I got to slow this down because people say it all the time. Okay, you find it's called piggybacking. Essentially, what you have is you have somebody who already has a credit card. They already have the history. We just talked about history. So having history already puts you up, but also on-time payments. So essentially what you're doing is you're going to a grandparent or auntie or somebody, they got great credit, and just ask them if they can add you to their credit card, because you never know how many points could be gained from that. But the trick is this, is making sure before they say yes, you find out the history. Because a lot of times people try to run their play and then jump on somebody's credit card, then do their research, and then all of a sudden you didn't realize that 2 years ago your auntie had 2 late payments.
All right.
Now those late payments become your late payments. Or you'll jump on there and not realize that, maybe your uncle had a high utilization. Maybe his credit card maxed out. So now you jump on a credit card, it looks like your credit card's maxed out. So making sure that you do that the right way, so you can get not just a credit card, but jump on somebody's history that's actually been responsible. Another thing that I recommend is check your credit report. Look for anything that's affecting your credit. Look for anything derogatory, collections, medical bills, repossession, foreclosure. Now, here's the trick to this. I think everybody needs to understand this. Just because those negative accounts are on your credit report, it does not mean that it's right the way that it was put on your credit report. I had a lot of clients that come and be like, man, Joe, I had some medical bills. That is my student loan. That is my repossession. Well, it's not about whether it was yours or not. It's the way that it got to your credit report. It's the mishandled paperwork. It's the rounding of numbers. Sometimes you go owe somebody $10,000. If they report $10,002, well, they $2 over. That means it's inaccurate information. So even though it's on your credit report, and yes, you did do it, but the fact that it was reported wrong gives us the opportunity to go in and get those things deleted. So my suggestion is always dispute anything on your credit report and then let them prove, right, whether they did it right or wrong. You'll be surprised how many creditors, how many collection agencies that's not in position. So I recommend that, guys, is go in, look at your credit report, dispute anything that's affecting your credit, any derogatories, any collections, anything. Like, go in and fight. because you'll be surprised how many of those people aren't willing to fight back because they know they were wrong. They don't want to be sued. They take it off and that shoots your credit score up like crazy.
So you hit on student loans, and that's another big thing I hear as a realtor who's talking to first time home buyers or people that are interested in buying. Period. Student loans, and they've got the student loan debt is being factored into their debt to income ratio when they go to look at a mortgage. So I know I hear a lot of people ask this question. Can I get my student loans off my credit?
Mhm.
So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm a testimony. I'm like the student loan guy that just got everything removed, right? So it took about 7 months for me, but on month 7, 9 student loans got deleted. Because once again, guys, it's not necessarily it being on your account. I think everybody need to consider that they have to be 100%, right? There can't be anything that was done wrong and brought up. So when people come to me and they say, "Hey, Joe, I got student loans," I say still address them, right? Still address them just to see if there were any mistakes. It's a lot of stuff that happened. Like I said, it could be the round of numbers. It could be facilities that's no longer open. I mean, I've seen colleges shut down. There's so much stuff that's considered in route of that once it gets to your credit report, that doesn't mean that's it. So I highly recommend. I'm a testimony, y'all. I had nine. I had 11 total. 9 got removed. The other 2 I used and I leveraged for history. So I did pay on those and I paid them off. The other 9 got deleted. So I still won all the way around the board.
Nice, nice. So last thing I want to talk about before we take a quick break, but I want to kind of transition this a little bit to real estate. So talk to me and my listeners just a little bit about what you've seen from. I know you guys get a lot of people, or you and your team get a lot of people that come to you that are looking to buy, whether it be homes for their families or invest in real estate. So how are you all helping a lot of people that are looking to get into real estate?
Well, first thing we do is we touch on that, right? We make sure that we touch the credit report because most people, you'll be surprised, 6 out of 10 people who got credit issue is looking for a home. They're looking 6 out of 10, based on my experience and the statistics that we developed over the years. So a lot of them don't realize that there's hope. So this is good. This is good for all you guys out there that's listening right now, thinking, man, my credit is stopping me and all that. Listen, just have your resource such as this, plug in, and then we can definitely make sure you're okay. But the first thing we always do is make sure that we go on a credit report and we look into it. We do a detailed analysis. We have multiple resources to make sure that at the end of the day, when that person signs up into the program, we do a detailed analysis, find out what's harming their credit report. And then after that, we do a detail. Well, after the detailed analysis, then basically we just go to work. We have a system, we have softwares, we have multiple ways to get it done. I think it's very important everybody understand that we're in the fintech space, which allows us with technology to make sure that everything we're doing is up to date. Because I've seen a lot of people out here that's trying to fix their credit, y'all, on strategies that used to work. Like in 2018, 2009, well, if you're not up to date on the latest fintech, the latest AI softwares and things like that, then you're behind the curve because the credit bureaus have spent so much money to just literally defeat old stuff that used to work. So what we do is we know for a fact that we're putting them through a machine, in a sense. We're putting them through this program that's got over 1 million negative items deleted. And with that allowing us to be able to go in on somebody's credit report, get rid of things that you thought that couldn't come off. Those are your medical bills. Those are your student loans. Yes, your repossession, your foreclosures, your bankruptcies. And then what that does is I like to look at credit as like 2 parts. Part 1 is like, just think of it like a car wash, right? The first thing we got to do is we got to get the dirt off. So that's what that process I just explained. We have to get things off that's affecting your credit. So that's anything that's affecting it. That's like getting the dirt off. Okay. Now, once the dirt is off, now we can decide based on that score, is that good enough for me to get what I want? Or do I want to go ahead and add some wax? Maybe a little bit of, a little tire shine,
Little
right?
extra
Max,
features.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So then that's when we go into the credit builder side. And that's where you start to add positive accounts, trade lines, and different things like that to take your credit score to the next level. And I give you guys a quick example. My credit, like I said, was a 545. I went from a 545 to a 680 just from getting the dirt off. Okay, now here's the thing. I
Impressive.
went from a 680 to a 767, y'all, 45 days later. Why? Because there was nothing affecting my credit. And I think that's very important for the listeners to understand that sometimes when you're adding positive stuff to a credit profile and it's got a lot of negative stuff on it, what's happening is the positive is fighting the negative. The positive is trying to pull you up, but the negative is taking you down. So at the end of the day, you'll never be able to maximize that. So once we do that, then obviously we get their credit scores in position. And then obviously we have realtors and we obviously align them with people like yourself to get them in homes.
Got it. And real quick, last question before we take this break, and then we're going to welcome some calls in for people with questions for you or I.
Mhm.
But just give the listeners an example. I know you have a ton of success stories. I closely follow your social media
Appreciate it.
platforms, so
Yeah.
I see all the people that are having great success going through your program. But tell the listeners about a first-time home buyer or somebody that had bought before. Maybe they went through a foreclosure or a short sale and their credit, was poor and they came to you guys for assistance. Tell a success story. Share a success story with us.
Absolutely. And we have so many, but one that stands out, right? Because obviously this is one of the reasons why I got started coming from the inner city. This one lady, her only goal was to move her kids to a different neighborhood because she felt like she had smart kids. She spent a lot of time helping them, molding them, cultivating them to be great kids. But every day they walked out, there was drugs, there was gunshots, so there was no peace that regardless of what value I put in my kids, they may not even make it home. Right. So she had a lot of stuff on her credit report because she went through a divorce. So she had a lot of she had a repo, she had maxed out credit cards and stuff like that was on her credit report. She had some medical bills and things like that. So what she did was she went through the program. Now, this is what I love, y'all. Okay, now results may vary, but I want you guys to understand this. In 4 months, she went from a 450, from a 450 to a 730 in just 4 months. That's the power of all of that stuff being on her credit report, being addressed by a system that's working currently, getting those negative items deleted. She came back and added some positive accounts. But here's what I love most about it. She was able to move, right? She was able to move her kids to another neighborhood, and she ended up coming in and partnering up with us and stuff like that. So it's been a blessing for sure.
Great. That is a great story. So we're going to take a quick break. I just want to remind people that you can call in to us here today to ask Joe or myself questions. The phone number is 708-223-8953. We will be back in a few minutes. Welcome back to the Inner Circle Real Estate Podcast, where real estate meets real life. And we are here with Joe Gathings. And I know I mispronounced your last name. I'm so sorry.
No, I get
So
it.
pronounce
Gathings.
Gathings.
Yeah, I
Okay,
get.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
we
you
good.
hear it
Yeah,
all.
for sure.
So I know we got a question online on YouTube about leveraging business credit. And that could be for real estate or whatever you want to do within your business. So talk a little bit about that. I was going to transition into that because I work with a lot of investor clients that have LLCs or S corps, and they want to know, how do I even establish credit for my business, and then what can I then go do with that. So I want to get into that.
No, that's good. And I think it's important that everybody understand, which is another reason why this topic is so important, is because 50%. Yeah, I think that's something you guys might want to write down. And also, if you're considering starting a business, consider these numbers. You got about 50% of small businesses. The real reason why they go out of business is because lack of funding. Y'all, okay? It don't mean the products is bad. Don't mean they have great location. No, guys, it's the lack of funding. And the real reason people can't get funding is because they don't have what's called real business credit. You got so many people that's using their own personal credit cards, they're using their own personal money to fund a business. And then what happens is eventually hardship, right? Because that's just period. That's what happens. You're gonna have winters and summers, right? So when the winter time comes, most of the times, you got a lot of business who can't sustain that over a course of years, and then they end up falling short.
Right.
They end up going, obviously bankrupt. They end up back at a job. The business is shut down simply because they had to max out all their credit cards, which we know now hurts your credit report. Use up all your money, right? So now your bank account is empty, and then you end up back at work again. So business credit is very, very important. That is something that we always push and we offer as well, just to make sure that everybody is aware of why most businesses go out of business. But when it comes down to business credit, I mean, they both go together. So one of the things that we always do, as a movement, is we always push personal credit and business credit together, especially if you want business credit, because to have both working together would allow you to be able to get to the money a lot faster. So when you got your personal credit working with your business credit, the reason why you'll be able to get to the money a lot faster is because look at it like a car. Okay, if you go to the car dealership and you don't have any credit or your credit is bad, they're going to ask you for somebody. They're going to say, who's the co-signer? Same thing with business credit. This is why we recommend that you not only start business credit, but you build it. Because and the good thing is, with you having good personal credit early to go alongside the business credit, is because if your business credit needs a co-signer, okay, then you would be the co-signer, but you also will be able to assure that the business credit is going to get the best interest rates and get the higher credit cards or whatever it is you're trying to get. Right?
So what you're talking about, and not to interrupt
No,
you, is
sure, yeah.
personal guarantor, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm personally guaranteeing my business credit,
There
right?
you go.
Okay.
There you go. Yep. So now what that does is that allows you to still be able to get that account reported on your business credit, but without taking a long route of building up all these little bitty accounts, which of course ain't bad, but I'm just trying to get everybody to the bag. If that makes sense, right? And I'll give you guys an example. With my trucking company, same thing. I remember well, obviously I got a trucking company, but having the trucking company, I remember the first thing I had to do was build up some business credit. But when I thought that I had enough on my business credit, they still needed me. So I was a co-signer, was able to get a Capital One at that time, was able to get a Discover at that time, and then eventually the business was able to go out and get business credit on its own. So then it became the business that got American Express Platinums and all of that stuff without me. So when it comes down to using your business to get homes and stuff like that, I think it's very important you guys understand that it's going to take a little bit of a journey, but you eventually want to get to the point where your business credit is strong enough on its own that it doesn't need you, right? To where it is actually able to go out and get the things that you would normally need yourself for, but it's getting it done without you.
And you brought up a good point about businesses, because we both are entrepreneurs,
Sure.
right? So, and you're spending money, you're trying to figure out, where am I getting this money from? That's how we get into business credit and things like that. So, but it's oftentimes small businesses, they don't know, like, what's the best credit to get, or am I getting a bank loan, or am I using my credit card? Like, what are some of the different financial tools that I should use when I have this business?
I actually know it's all of them. It's a combination. So think of it like your personal credit card. You just moving it over to the business world. So when you think about your personal credit, you want to have a variety of different loans. So you have some personal, you have some credit cards, you have a car loan. You want to be able to mix those things up because ideally, if to simplify it so the audience can kind of grasp it, your business credit is essentially the exact same thing as your personal credit in regards to how you want to operate it. You feel what I'm saying? But on the back end of that, your business will be able to get way 10 times more money than you'll ever be able to get on the personal side. So when you think about building your business credit, you want to mix it up. Personal credit cards, some personal loans. You get to the point where you're able to get a car. You get to the point where you got these different accounts to where it's able to run itself. Then you decide what plays you want to run inside of your business according to whatever your goals are. But it's the exact same thing as a personal credit when you're looking at the different components.
So even just business profile, like what are some of the things that I need to have? I know I need to have my business set up. Do I need to have my tax returns in line? Like, what are some of the things that business individuals, entrepreneurs need to start establishing in order to start building that credit?
For sure. You want to make sure at the end of the day, you got your 411 directory, your Dun and Bradstreet, your emails, the right phone numbers. You want to have a legit office, right, set up because you don't want to have, your house as an address because sometimes that could be a little curious for somebody that trying to lend you some money to see it go into like a basement or some of your house. So you want to try to legitimize yourself early as you can so that your profile, right? So that's what it's all about in the beginning is really setting up your profile to where you look so attractive. You on paper, even your emails, right? It's all in when you think about your emails, which is very important that you don't just use like Yahoo, right? You want to make sure you use professional emails as well. All of those little bitty things, it's like artwork, right? You're trying to make this thing look as good as possible. Now, these are things that we offer as well. We help you set up that and at the same time. But when it comes down to your business credit, those components are very important. Even the right phone numbers, just not having this 77341. No, you want to make sure you got legit phone numbers, y'all, because when it comes down to lending you money, they're looking for credibility. They're looking for anything that don't put like this. You don't want to look suspect. Right. You don't want any signs of let me go do a little bit more digging. That's the wrong email. What else they got wrong? That's the wrong phone number. Let me see what else they got wrong. That's a suspect address. Let me go see what else they got wrong. Then you look up. Now you got to be perfect. Similar like when you got perfect credit or good credit. You go in there with an 800 credit score. I can promise you. I don't remember last time they asked me for check stubs, anything. You know what I mean? When it comes to, because once you appear to be so legit, it takes away the suspicion. But if you just set that up, then to line up everything else on the back end.
That's great info. Because I know both of us, we get a lot of questions from people with businesses. I know the number one for me is investors that have LLCs and they're trying to flip property or buy and hold, and they want to leverage that property. And just making sure that their things are set up so they can go out and acquire more funding, buy that property, leverage it to buy something else. So that's really good information. I want to transition a little bit into to talk about your program. So, if you have some of our listeners, that need help with their credit or, just need financial advice or financial literacy, education, talk to us a little bit about the program. How would I come to you? What would be the steps? What type of things are you guys doing for me in order to help me work on my credit?
Yeah, so what we have is we have this thing called financial literacy. It's basically like a stair, right? So basically, look at these stairs. It's called our financial literacy letter in a sense, right? So we got credit and debt help and business credit and funding and taxes. We do all of that. However, credit is what we call, I guess you could say, the breadwinner because most people need that. But how it works if you reach out to me, of course, for credit, right? Like I said, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do a detailed analysis. We just doing this because we just want to make sure at the end of the day that we give you an idea and the education, which I think is very important, on what's going on with your credit, why that's taking place, and what it is we're about to do, the strategy in which we're about to apply, and then allow you to basically sit back. I think the one thing that really separates us from other companies is that our credit, the process is done for you. So that means you literally just enrolling, you kicking back and letting the company just really go to work, right? So that means that you don't got to be mailing in letters and communicating with the credit bureaus and stuff like that, because sometimes that can be a hindrance because you may not know what you're doing. You may say the wrong stuff. You may hold your letter too long. You may send your letters in too soon. It's so much that can go alongside that. So I think it's important that everybody understand the reason why we took that off the client's hand is because we want you to be able to have the most peace to say, hey, at least I know it's been done the right way with the right timing and the right strategies. Then after that, like I said, we get the negative items and stuff deleted. And then, of course, you decide at that point, this credit score is exactly what I needed to get that job or that house or whatever it is you're trying to get. Then you'll come back if you say, hey, how do I take it up even another notch? Maybe I want to add some additional history. Maybe I want to add my rental history. Maybe I want to add a little bit of credit loans and stuff like that to my credit profile so that I can boost it up even further. So that's kind of the whole credit process. It's literally everything done for you because we understood in the past that when the customer have to do more, it causes more trouble because it's not that the strategy doesn't work. It's just dependent on too many people that's not sure how it works and the importance of getting things out in a timely manner. So that will be the process on the business credit side. I mean, on the personal credit side, then the business credit, essentially the same thing. Literally walking everybody through every single step, every single tier. We're setting you up with your LLC, your Dun and Bradstreet number, your emails, your phone numbers, all of this stuff to take away the peace of mind. Then we're not going to just leave you there. We're going to set you up with every tier so that we don't drag it out. Just think of business credit as tiers. So we're going to set you up with every tier to the point where all of our business credit, write this down, y'all. All of our business credit comes with at least $50,000 guaranteed funding. Let me say that one more time. All of our business credit comes with your personal credit and at least $50,000 guaranteed funding. So once again, we're not just out here just trying to set people up and still realize that y'all still lost. It's to what's the next play? Like what else are you trying to do? And that's what this whole movement is all about, is to set somebody up, but make sure that the next move that you're able to go without having to have, headaches and stress out over something because you don't really know where to go or who to go to. Am I, what I mean? Just being one place where you could be, all of your things could be with somebody you trust a great deal.
So what sets you guys apart from, and you mentioned this before, there's so many people out here that are doing credit, right? There's friends and family who say, hey, Jim Shoe, I can work on your credit, or my cousin works on credit. So what separates your company from those that are out there that, may not necessarily make this a business? They might do one-off things. So what sets you guys apart?
First thing without question, right? It's a God first company, right? So we built everything off biblical principles. So at least you're doing business with somebody that's gonna always try to do what's right. Second thing that separate us is that we're operating off strategies and systems that we know that are working today, right? So it's one thing to have strategies working, but having stuff that that's working today, knowing that you're working with a company that's already responsible, y'all, for over 1 million negative items deleted. Another thing that really separates us is outside of God, and of course, we'll, just mention that, but the strategies, but also when you think about it, we have the testimonies, we got the movement, I can sit up here and bring 100 200 people in here, and you know that because you've been around. I can line everybody up and let them tell testimony after testimony after testimony, and you will see that we're not just talking about it, y'all. We got a whole movement of people that said we executed them plays. I'm right here as an example. Here's what it done for me. Here's the land that we bought. Here's the homes that we bought. We have people in this movement, y'all, that's buying neighborhoods. Okay, now it's one thing to buy a house and things like that. I'm all for that. But when you really get around people that's really doing it, you realize that, man, there's more to it. How about buying a neighborhood, building on a neighborhood, and being able to provide different homes and stuff for your families? Like that type of stuff, guys, is what you get while you with us. Another thing that's separate, I keep going now. We are A plus rated with the BBB, just so we clear. Another thing that separate us is that we're a debt-free company. So that means that we can make debt-free decisions. That means that this is why, guys, so we can be very aggressive. Another thing that separate us, I'll give you one more, okay, is that we address things every 30 days. And I think that's very important for your listeners because there are credit companies out here that stretch the process out because they may have debt. They have bills to pay. They may have shot a commercial. They probably made bad business decisions. With us being a debt-free company for over 10 years, this allows us to address things very aggressively. This is why every month you can depend on something going out on your behalf, right? And one more.
No,
You
keep
ready?
going. You
We
are
have a
dropping gems today.
180
So
day
please
money
keep going.
back.
Okay.
180 day money back guarantee, y'all. That means that we're backing it up. So if we can't get anything deleted within 180 days, y'all, that's your money back. Now I told you we can keep going, but I feel like those are some pointers because it's a lot of things. Me being in the credit space, I realized that here's the thing: the credit companies. I'm not saying that they're bad, just like people. I'm not saying they're bad, but sometimes they just don't know what's not working anymore. So truthfully, the person that probably tried to help you at some point, that's why I don't beat companies up, I don't beat people up. They probably legit found something that probably worked for their auntie
Mhm.
or their uncle, right? But with us is that we do this for a living. So it allows us to give you things that we know that work for sure. So don't go beat up your cousin or nephew or somebody or just another company. I try not to talk bad about nobody because I know that most people do got good intent. It's just strategies outdated.
So you hit on a key word that I wanted to ask you about your movement.
Yeah,
And I know you have a movement. I've watched you for a few years.
sure.
You continue to grow
Love them.
and educate, and you have a massive team of people behind you. So talk a little bit about that because that lends to your business, your ability to lead. So talk to me a little bit about how you've built this movement.
Yeah, so the movement is called Go Getters. Okay, so it's a God first movement. No hate, no jealousy, just a bunch of people who just decided that I was gonna come together, give God the glory, provide solutions to people problems, while in process work on myself so I could be a testimony. Because we understand the more of us that grow together and provide the most influence, then what you have is you got attention. Once you got everybody attention, then now we're able to help people the right way without them being lost and being misled by going to other places or other people that might be trying to do what we're doing. That's the difference. So I love them, man. They they're my people, man. They and I love them, man, because every single year I see them by far most important thing becoming closer to God, which is without question the most important thing to me. But learning things that they didn't know, so you can see it, the joy in their lives, like how it impact their families, their kids are learning stuff that they didn't even know until they were like 40. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy to see, like, because we do networking events, we do
Mhm.
webinars, we do, different things. We travel across the city, across the state, across the country. And it's really good to see. Like I really get a joy. Like when I see somebody kid on a webinar, like sitting there locked
Locked
in,
in, right.
knowing that at that time I probably was out throwing rocks or something in the
Right.
alley, just being bad. And these kids are going to be way better than us. And I think that should be the goal: is not to compete. I tell everybody your best days should be your kids' worst days. And so
Yeah.
that's yeah. So the movement is crazy. We blessed for sure.
Well, and it's people like you and programs that you're developing and what you're doing in the community,
Yeah,
educating people, giving them resources, and then you're building this team. So that's spreading out. So I can see that it's reaching a different generation. And I
for
know
sure.
this is what we talked about is how credit is not oftentimes credit, financial literacy, finances in general, budgeting, things like that aren't always discussed.
Mhm.
And I think you guys are building a platform where you're having these discussions, whether they're in a large form, one on one, or situations like this. So I really admire that and I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Appreciate
Um,
it.
so tell people as we wrap up, how can they get in touch with you, your team, or and then also share. I wanted to share because I know you guys have just purchased your own building,
Yeah, yeah.
I believe on
Mhm.
the west side of
Yes,
Chicago,
yes,
where
we did.
you've
Yeah,
got some big plans.
for sure.
So I kind of wanted to give you the opportunity to share that with people as well.
Yeah, so shout out, to the west side. I love all sides, just so we clear, right? But I grew up on the west side of Chicago, so it's very important for me to be able to come back and be able to truly impact from a different perspective. I always had a goal to take what drug dealers represented as far as success, mix that with business and true peace, and come back and have the same influence. So what we did was, you absolutely correct. We just purchased a financial literacy office, and we dropped it literally directly in the middle of the hood. And that was to truly take away the word "but" out of everybody's vocabulary growing up. So upstairs is really dope because you got 10, 15 people sitting at their desk, all 6 and 7 figure earners that's providing value, able to answer questions. People could come in, get game, get knowledge. Once again, not happening to guess. Downstairs is an event space. So this is where we're going to be providing solutions on a regular basis, but also providing more conscious awareness or events to bring more love and peace back to the neighborhood. So yeah, we're excited about that, and the goal is to do that, all over the country, right? Just starting something that most people probably didn't think of, because you would have to have a group of people that's all thinking the same. That explains the movement aspect of it. But eventually, y'all, it's going to be all over the country for sure.
And just to kind of sum that up, this all started from you going from that 545
Yes,
to 800. I don't want to know where
840,
you
girl,
are.
go
Right,
come, yeah,
840. Okay,
yeah.
he's at 840, y'all. So, but this started from 545 to 840 now, and how much you've been able to accomplish by working on your credit. So that's the big piece that I want to give to people, and why I wanted to have you on the show.
Sure.
I think people need to hear the gems and the tips and things that you dropped today, and I appreciate that. So how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, for sure. So if you have interest in anything, whether it's personal credit or business, right, just text whatever the need is. So I'm gonna give you a number, but I want you to text credit or I want you to text business according to your needs, so that we can educate you first, provide value, and then you decide. Right. If you need us for do anything, text credit or business credit to area code 773-458-5982. I'm gonna do that one time, y'all. Text credit or just business to 773-458-5982. And then of course you can find me on Facebook or Instagram at Joe Gathings. So that is Joe, and then last name Gathings, G as in go, A T as in Tom, Hings. That is Joe Gathings on Instagram and Facebook. And let's continue to grow together.
Absolutely, Joe. Thank you so
Oh,
much for
thank you.
coming on the Inner Circle podcast. That is a wrap for today's episode. Once again, I'm just keep dropping the name. I want to get it in people's minds. So it's the Inner Circle podcast, where real estate meets real life. A huge thank you to Joe for sharing his expertise and empowering us with valuable insights about credit and financial freedom. Remember, credit isn't just a number, everybody, right? It's a tool to unlock opportunities and build a brighter future. And if you're looking to buy, sell, or just have questions about real estate, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I love to help you navigate your journey and turn your goals into reality. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the replay on intellectualradio.com, their YouTube channel, iHeartRadio, my social platforms, Facebook and Instagram. You can follow me at your homegirl Jillian on all the socials, and that is including YouTube. Let's see. Thank you for tuning in and being part of the Inner Circle. Until next time, I'm your homegirl Jillian, reminding you to keep dreaming big, building smart, and living well. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
Let's go. God bless.